I'm good at this. It helps my hand-eye coordination. And you know, it just is, well, I guess what goes up doesn't always go down. I think that's what they're hoping about the stock market. They could have that hope. But, you know, every virtue may become a vice or a vise. Even hope, it's kind of a vice versa thing, you know, hoping the stock market. But a vice is a metal tool with movable jaws that are used to hold an object firmly in place while work is done on it, typically attached to a workbench. I see this especially in relationships where a partner has consistently been negligent and or abusive. The hope is a vise, is holding their head in a place where they believe the other will finally love them. Here we trap ourselves hoping on a love that is not sustainable. Or we can also get stuck on hope that the other will suffer in pain and misery for hurting us, and then we get trapped by hate. Love and hate are both attachments manifested by affection and anger. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. Indifference. Sometimes we need to let go of unrequited love or hate that keeps us stuck, and we need to let go of our expectations. You could call this building indifference, yes. This doesn't mean we give up on love and fighting for what we believe in. The world was your oyster before you got seafood poisoning, but that doesn't make the entire world nauseous. Maybe for a while, but this too shall pass. Then again, so will a kidney stone, and we're not looking forward to its journey. And yes, the one way you can 100% prevent food poisoning in the future is starving yourself to death. I never endorse that option. So, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream, or a freaking nightmare for too many of us. These are our deported men. Out of 238 of them, 179 have zero criminal record, here or abroad. Yet they've been arrested and with no due process sent to a torturing prison in El Salvador. There is swift violence for perceived disobedience, breaking any rules, no sunlight ever, no clocks, no time markers. Meals are minimal, rice and beans, sometimes a tortilla, sometimes an egg. No utensils, prisoners eat with their hands. Each cell has 2 toilets and 2 sinks for 80 plus men. Held without trial. Virtually no releases. Officials state openly they will never leave. And we're paying San Salvador only $6 million a year to house these prisoners. Wow. Cost savings of $24 to $80 million a year if they were housed in regular or max security. Jesus and Donnie would both be proud of these savings. We row through life with our usual either-ors. Our world becomes either black or white, good or bad, right or wrong, because what preserves our security is the valuing of behaviors as being right or wrong, or good or bad, or true or false, etc., etc., etc. The either-ors are one way to have safety and predictability. However, we also need to travel by sail, because damn, your arms get tired. And otherwise, we also need to sail in the ocean of our dreams and ideals. What preserves this freedom is the valuing of behaviors as being the same or different. Perhaps seeing things as neither right or wrong, or sane or crazy, healthy or sick. This allows for play and self-direction and free will. Overvaluing security can destroy our freedom, and overvaluing our freedom can destroy our security. Which is why we have checks and balances with the executive, legislative, and judicial branch of government. When these are out of balance, we jeopardize both freedom and security. And let's compare some stuff. The legislative branch creates laws shaping the emotional climate of a society. Our heart gives us purpose and meaning. The judicial branch interprets laws, Just like thoughts interpret information, our thinking translates that purpose. And the executive branch enforces the laws and the purpose behind them, just as our actions convey meaning from our thoughts and our hearts. When our actions ignore our judgment, when our actions ignore our heart and purpose, then what happens? Then there's no purpose, no meaning, and no law. Other than being set to just get more of whatever we can, however we can, it'll be beautiful. See, I believe this can be defined as greed or gluttony. Just one more mint tariff, please. Not my cup of tea. Just to expound a bit, that right-wrong duality also relates to time. We say certain things will always happen or certain things will never happen. Again, we want that certainty, that predictability. It's the same perception that creates racism, sexism, and bigotry. It's why men always, women always, Jews always, blacks always, Mexicans always, Asians always, or they never. Take your pick. In between always and never is sometimes. In between everything and nothing is some things. Try to settle on doing the best you can with the some things you can choose sometimes. Make a habit of it. Just not always or forever, okay? I believe this is called moderation. This is not applicable for incest, murder, rape, torture, robbery, and a variety of other crimes that some of you remain confused about, like lying through your teeth, which unfortunately is more immoral than illegal. But if you are going to talk about crime, we need to talk about justice as well. Here's a statue of Lady Justice located in or around most courthouses in the United States. Picture's worth 1,000 words, so there are elements of the statue that define and represent what justice is all about. The scales, symbolism, impartial, judgment, and balance. The scales represent the weighing of evidence. Justice must consider both sides fairly before reaching a decision. And the sword, symbolism of authority and the swift, decisive power of justice. The double-edged sword points downward, symbolizing enforcement and respect for the law. It also implies that justice can cut both ways, favorable or not. The blindfold, not always present, is impartiality and objectivity. The blindfold indicates that justice should be meted out without bias, regardless of wealth, power, race, or identity. The female figure is representing moral virtue and fairness, often drawn from the Roman goddess Justitia or the Greek Themis. The female form conveys compassion, purity, and the human side of the law. The book or scroll, occasionally at the bottom, it can represent the law itself or the Constitution. This can represent the body of laws that Lady Justice upholds, reasoned, written, and established. This is a picture of Alexei Navalny, a Russian proponent of democracy and a man who protested against the corruption of the Putin regime. He won a variety of international awards for his support of human rights. He was poisoned, falsely convicted, and died in an Arctic prison, suffering from the brutal and negligent treatment he received on orders from the guy on the left, the buddy of the guy on the right. In game theory, the friend of my friend is my friend. The friend of my enemy is my enemy. And the enemy of my enemy, well, it could be my friend. We don't know. So what the hell happened here? To summarize, justice requires impartial judgment, fairness. It requires respect for the law and equal treatment, regardless of race, religion, power, or wealth. And just as important, moral virtue. It's difficult to be virtuous when someone suffers from what we once called the 7 deadly sins. I believe we already discussed gluttony. Thank you, Monty Python. But with the current and executive bodies of government, I'm also concerned about wrath. Defined as extreme or violent rage or fury, vehement indignation, an act done in violent rage in vengeance or punishment, wrath. And pride, an inflated sense of self, viewing oneself as superior to others, the sin from which all others arise. Of course, greed, excessive desire for material wealth or gain, a craving for more than one needs or deserves. And for many of our legislators and judges, laziness or indifference, especially towards moral or spiritual duties, failure to do things that one should do. We give you sloth, the sin that needs no effort. The virtue that counters pride is humility. Here we practice modesty, recognizing our limitations and the value of others' capabilities. The virtue that counters wrath is patience. Patience means we respond with calmness and self-control in the face of provocation. The virtue that counters greed is charity. Here we are generous with our resources and time to those who are less fortunate. The virtue that counters envy is kindness. This entails admiration and goodwill towards others' success. The virtue that counters gluttony is moderation and temperance. Here we seek balance and diligence in self-restraint and self-care. Half a Big Mac. I believe that some of you have no idea what it means to be humble, patient, charitable, and moderate. I hope that you're willing to learn. I really hope you're willing. If not, go yourselves. I hope I wasn't too preachy. That's all I got for today's show. Hey, lead with respect, follow with compassion, rinse and repeat. For these ideas and more, check out my books. The Paradox Bridge, Suggestions in Life for Those Who Live with the Critically Controlling, for Kindle and paperback editions, as well as Audible for the audio edition of Directions in Life for the Occasionally Confused. You can also get directions for free if you're an Amazon Prime member, all through the oligarchy of Amazon.com. All proceeds will go to making sure I can hightail it out of the country in the event of being targeted by the current administration. Thanks for showing up.